All right, Bert, you're at a networking event, or wherever, you run into a loan officer, and that loan officer tells you they are currently struggling right now in today's market. What advice would you give them?
Yeah, this has happened like 50 times this year, right? I think we would all agree that everybody thought 2024 rates were going to come down, and I've never seen lots of LOs left the business, which is heartbreaking. But I honestly think now, especially for newer LOs, you've really got to evaluate like who is teaching you this business. Like, and then what other people at your company are in the same boat that you can be accountability partners with coaching. In other words, if you don't have, I can tell you, Rick, all day, Rick, okay, you've got to make 100 phone calls. If you make 100 phone calls a week, you will get loans. But that's just not true, okay? You put a newer LO that doesn't have the confidence, right? And yeah, they're calling realtors one after the other, but they don't know what to say. They don't know how to follow up, right? They don't have the confidence to get to the next conversation. That only happens with great community and great coaching. And again, that's why we do all these scripts. We got to show people what to say. Now, I will say, I've got several loan officers that I coach that we tell them exactly what to say, and they're kind of not getting results, right? Well, I don't need to look at their accountability trackers. It's because they're not making the calls. They're not doing the things that we're coaching them to do, the things we're coaching, because we know what we coach works, because we also have top producers here that are crushing it, even in this weird market, right? But guess what? Each one of them are generally coached. They've got community. They're tracking their leads. They're tracking all their activity. And of course it's working out. So you got to evaluate kind of the tribe you're with, and are these people really invested in teaching me this business? I mean, Rick, wouldn't you agree? Like 2020, 2021, this was too easy. It got so easy. Anybody that started back then never really learned how to do this. They didn't.
Yeah. Many loan officers just woke up and their phone rang and they were just addressing all the applications that came in because they were licensed, right? And they happen to work. The industry shifted. Now we have to work. Now we have to do the activities and prospect that many of us haven't had to do for the past few years because the phone was ringing off the hook. Rates were low. Everyone was buying. Now we're in an environment where you can still do very well, but you got to do a little bit of work, a little bit of activity. And many people struggle with that.
Yeah. And you've got to have tough conversations. You've got to know what to say. Okay. Hey, when you're locking rates at 2.75%, that is not a skill. That is not hard, right? When rates were 2.75, 3%, you never had, but now every single client, you've got to justify why it's a good idea to buy this home when their rate's going to be 6.75, right? You've got to have mentors and top producers that collaborate with you at your place, at your company, and teach you what they do, teach you what they say.
Yeah, I would add, you also want to make sure that outside your company, like whatever sphere or circle you have, you probably want to make sure that people that are surrounding you are pushing you, celebrating you, cheering you on, but are also at the level of where you want to be. Why would you take advice from someone that's at a level that you don't want to be at? And I see in our industry that happens so often, right? Many of us are taking advice from people that are in places that we would never want to be, but we take their advice. Blows my mind.
Well, and I would tell you too, like I'm not always advocating that people should change companies, right? Of course, if you're in a place and you're miserable or you're not, change companies, okay? Mm-hmm. But also there's so much like weirdness sometimes in bigger companies where somebody is in a branch or in a region that is not what they need, and they're so scared to just raise their hand and go, you know what? I want to go work over there in the ABC branch for that person because I believe in it. I see what they're doing. So don't change companies, but don't be scared to go to that next boss and be like, hey, I really want to be mentored by that person, right? Is that cool? Because I think I'm going to tell you 9 times out of 10, whoever's wasn't mentoring you in the first place, it's their fault. That's all there is to it. And you deserve it, right? You need mentorship. You need help in this market. Right in my opinion. Yep.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you for that.
All right.
Bernie, I hear you have a really good